riders in this motherfucker. The holidays? Shit. That means 12 days of fuck you. Riders for life.
What's going on, guys? Bronco Juggalo here, and I hope you can bear with me with the heater on and all the extra noise. I'm sorry, but it is pretty freaking cold here, and so that heater's been running practically full blast all the time, all day long. And I do a lot of these videos later in the evening because it's when I have time to do them. So it's usually running because it's colder at night. That's also why I keep coming to you from this same location. I tend to do videos right here when I'm a little, tired, a little worn down from the day. And just, like I said, it's late and I'm tired. And I'm sitting here comfortably. Enough of that preamble discussion. I am coming to you today with day 4 of the 12 Days of Christmas Horror Review Challenge. Today we have the 2015 film Krampus. This is a movie that kind of breaks my own rules. It is a PG-13 horror film. And I usually don't watch PG-13 horror films. They're usually all the time crap. I didn't know this movie was rated PG-13 though. I've seen lots of different Krampus commercials and movies and things like that. So there's different Krampus movies, and I always thought they were all like the same franchise, but they're not. And I knew there was like a couple different franchises, like Mother Krampus, that's different. But this franchise, or this movie, was like the big mainstream movie. And as I said, it was released in 2015. It was rated PG-13, even though, as I said, I didn't know that even when I bought it. It wasn't until I was talking to Horrific Nightmares JM, the guy that created this challenge, who told me, yeah, he's like, I like that movie, even though it's rated PG-13. I was like, wait a minute, it's rated PG-13? And I picked up my copy and I looked at it and I was like, huh, here it is. I didn't even notice that. So, anyways, yeah. I'll get on with it. I'm sorry, I'll get on with it. We're doing Krampus today, guys. This was directed by Michael Dougherty, and it stars MJ Anthony as the main character, Max. Now, Max is a young kid who writes a letter to Santa Claus saying all this stuff about how he wishes Christmas was like it used to be, wishes his family was all together and not being, hateful bastards towards each other. And his family comes to visit, and they're all dysfunctional as hell, and they just totally ruin the whole mood for him. And he gets super pissed off, says he hates Christmas, rips up the letter, throws it out the window, and it takes off into a whirlwind up into the sky, and blah-bitty, blah-bitty, blah-bitty. Krampus himself gets a hold of it. Now, Krampus, for those of you that don't know, is an old legend. It's basically based on Saint Nick. In the old legends, Saint Nick, aka Santa Claus, he would bring toys for good kids, and he would bring coal or other things, depending on which country you're in, for bad kids. The Krampus legend is that the Krampus is actually the demonic form of Saint Nick, and it comes to punish children who have lost the true Christmas spirit. Now, that's our story. A young boy who turns his back on Christmas unwittingly unleashes the demonic Krampus. And let me tell you, he ain't bringing no lumps of coal. This movie, it is classified as a horror film, but I really didn't have that horror movie feel to it. Now, towards the end of the movie, like in the third act, there is a bit of more horror feel to it than in most. But honestly, this film felt to me a lot more Nightmare on Elm Street and Beetlejuice than it did like a horror film. And basically, I guess it kind of felt more like a Tim Burton movie, even though it wasn't a Tim Burton movie. It also had a bit of that Guillermo del Toro feel, just a little bit, And but honestly, all in all, this was a really good, really fun film, and I was shocked at how much I liked it. At first, at the very beginning of the film, I was kind of like, man, this is just kind of, it's a little lame. It's, just like, feels like every other Christmas movie. But then it started to get going, and I was like, okay, this ain't bad, this ain't bad, this ain't bad. And I was getting more and more into it as time went on, and then by the time the ending came around, I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. So, one of my big pros is that it incorporates animation into the story when the grandmother, who is German and who speaks German in the film, is giving basically the backstory on Krampus because she's experienced this before. And once again, that's where the Tim Burton-esque feel comes in, because the animation style is very much that Tim Burton style animation. Another big pro for me is I thought this movie was shot beautifully. I think it looks great. Very atmospheric. At the very beginning even, or well, not really the very beginning, like the scenes where the Krampus is first coming and it's starting to get dark and gloomy. And then the older daughter is walking to her boyfriend's house just to make sure he's okay. There's a lot, it looks really good. It looks really creepy. The neighborhood looks really creepy, but all at the same time, while it's looking creepy and it's looking a little bit scary, you know what I mean by scary, it's just got that feel to it. It still has that great Christmas wintry look, and it looks really good, and they did a really good job combining the two. My next big pro on this was the effects, both the practical effects, because there was quite a few practical puppet effects, and the CGI effects. All were done pretty well, and they were all fun. It was a fun effects film. There's this weird creature that's kind of like a dual Jack-in-the-Box, even though the creature's completely out of the box, and it's like, the Jack-in-the-Box has a spring inside wrapped in the cloth to make up the body of the clown. Well, there's like two of them, and on each side is a head, and they got like demonic looking jaws and faces, and it looks kind of grotesque, but it's really cool looking, and those look like great good practical effects they did there, making some cool puppets. But then there's also some CGI effects, like with the gingerbread men and the teddy bear and the Krampus's tongue and things like that. And those all look pretty decent as well. I also have to say this. When the gingerbread men are fighting the uncle, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Army of Darkness fighting Mini Ashes. I don't know why, it just did remind me of that, and it kind of struck me as humorous, and I really enjoyed that part. My last and final pro for this movie is that it is just plain fun. And as I said, it's a PG-13 movie. There is not really any gore in this film. There's really no over-the-top extreme violence. There is a little bit of cursing. You get a couple, I think 1 or 2 F-bombs. And it's just a fun movie. I can't remember her name right now, but the lady who plays the maid in 2.5 Men is in this movie. And she's just a really funny, outspoken character. She is in most of the roles she plays. And she has even a couple cool one-liners when she's taking care of business with a shotgun. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. This movie was fun. And it did show, I guess, I can't believe I'm admitting this. Holy shit, the heater turned off. Well, let's see if I can get this done before it turns back on. I guess I have to admit that once in a while, maybe a PG-13 horror film can be good. Well, maybe not. This may be just the one exception to the rule. Going into my cons, being that it was a PG-13 film, I really feel that this movie missed a huge opportunity to be a really down and deep, scary gore fest. It had all the earmarks. Everything in this movie could have made it really gory and really good. And I almost wish they would have had an unrated edition where it showed a lot more gore and where it did that kind of stuff. But I can kind of get where it's aimed at. As I said, it reminded me a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street, Beetlejuice, a little bit of Army of Darkness thrown in there, a little bit of Labyrinth thrown in there, and a little bit of maybe Goosebumps thrown in there. All rolled into a ball, and its core audience to me definitely was people in their, teens and, maybe even early teens. And just people that wanted to have a fun, Christmas movie that wasn't your typical Christmas film. Oh, here comes the heater again. But that really basically is my only con in the film. I really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. As I said, to me this movie is not even close to being scary, but it was a lot of fun. So if you want a fun, sleek looking, good ride through the snow in Christmas, kind of bring back some of that nostalgia if you liked A Nightmare Before Christmas when you were younger, when it came out, this is the film you might want to look into. So anyways, guys, this is Bronco Juggalo saying we will see you next time for day 5 of Horrific Nightmare JM's 12 Days of Christmas Horror Reviews. I want to give shout outs to Horrific Nightmares JM, Dave Maggot, and HorrorFan34 for doing this challenge. This is Bronco Juggalo saying peace.
Change, please. Christmas change.
Happy holidays, y'all. Give me a gift. Let me sing a little jingle while you drink that fifth. Jingle bell. Tell Santa that he better stop frontin' it. Cookie eating motherfucker, never leaving nothing. But this year I swear I won't let